Hello. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. My name is Breezy. This is on my YouTube channel, Breezyville. If you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, notice I'm hitting you with a millennial pause. I've been told that's the thing. You know what? I'm like, I'm gonna use that because I'm a grown woman and because I can, honestly. But anyway, please excuse us. My sinuses are acting up right now. I think it's just weather, if I'm being honest. But if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help a girl out. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the Voodoo Caves. We are on episode 160, and I think this is the last episode before talking about Mormon territory. Before I move into like some areas that really aren't Mormon territory anymore. But I will be honest with y'all. The only thing I know about the city of this episode today is that it's in Mormon territory. Y'all might recall a show, Escaping Polygamy, and that I used to watch that show like crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Now the city was featured. Now it's featured on the show in St. George, Utah, and this is the county seat of Washington County, and it's the fifth most populous city in Utah. Now, I had to do some research on St. George because I feel like, you know what, if we're going to talk about the urban legends and stuff, and the legends from these areas, we might as well talk about, like, the city, right? It's important to educate ourselves because without educating ourselves, we just remain ignorant. Now, I'm from Alabama. I live in Tennessee now, but my southern accent, my speech impediment may get in the way a little bit. I'm not apologizing for that. That's on you if you can't handle that. Now, St. George was settled in 1861 as a cotton mission, earning the nickname Dixie. Wait a second. So you're telling me anything with Dixie in it is getting canceled, but Utah, St. George could have gotten canceled and have changed that nickname? Yeah, favorites right there. Um, Now, while the crop never became a successful commodity, and it's really not because the South is more known for the cotton fields, honestly. Now, the area did grow steadily in population. Today, the St. George region is well known for its warm climate and relative to the vast area in the state to the rest of the state, resulting in year-round outdoor recreation, proximity to several state parks, such as Zion State Park and the Grand Canyon. Now, Utah Tech University in St. George is an NCAA Division I school, and the city is 118 miles northeast of Las Vegas, 300 miles south-southwest of Salt Lake City on I-15. Now we gotta talk about the history of St. George, because again, if you're gonna talk about urban legend, at least talk about the history of the city so people can get a better understanding of it. St. George was founded as part of a cotton mission in 1861 under the direction of the LDS apostle Euradus Snow. At the outbreak of the Civil War, Brigham Young accelerated the colonization effort, fearing that the war would take away the cotton supply. He began plans for raising enough in the southwestern country to supply the needs for his people. Enough favorable reports have come to him from the warm region, from the rim of the Great Basin, and he was convinced that cotton could be raised successfully here. At the General Church Conference in the Salt Lake City on October 6, 1861, about 300 families were called to the Dixie Mission to promote the cotton industry. Now, most of the people knew nothing about the expedition until their names were read from the pulpit. But from many, in nearly every case, the reason, with goodwill, and the fact that they were ready to leave within the month's time allotted them. The families were selected to ensure that the communities to the right number of farmers, masons, blacksmiths, businessmen, educators, and carpenters as needed. Now, The settlement was named after George A. Smith, an LDS apostle. In 1877, the LDS Church completed the St. George, Utah temple, and it was the church's third temple of in the oldest and it is the oldest and still actively used. In 1992, the St. George earthquake destroyed three houses, as well as above ground, below ground utilities, causing about $1 million in damages. Now, St. George was the location of 1997 United States Academic Decathlon National Finals. Now, in January 2005, a 100-year-old flood occurred throughout the region due to prolonged heavy rainfall, both the Virgin River and the Santa Clara River, and one person was killed and 28 homes and destroyed by the Santa Clara River. Now, let's talk about nuclear contamination. In the early 1950s, St. George received the brunt of the fallout and the grounds of nuclear testing in Yucca Flats, Nevada test site, northwest of Las Vegas. Now, winds routinely carried the fallout of the tests directly through St. George and southern Utah, and it marked increases in the frequency of cancer in the population, including leukemia, lymphoma, thyroid cancer, breast cancer, melanoma, bone cancer, brain tumors, and gastroenteritis tract cancers, which was supported from the mid 1950s until the early 1980s. Now, in the 1980s, magazines reported that from the 220 cast crew who filmed the 1956 movie Conqueror on a location near St. George, 91 have come down with cancer, 50 have died, and of course, 46 of these died by cancer by 1980. Along with the cancer deaths were John Wayne, Pedro Armendariz, and Susan Hayward, the film stars. But the lifetime odds of developing cancer for men in the U.S. was 43% odds of dying of cancer, 23%. Now, these places, the cancer mortality rate was 220, primary cast, and quite near the expected average. The 1962 U.S. Atomic Energy Commission report found that children living in St. George at the time of the fallout may have received doses to their thyroids and radiochlorine as high as 120 to 140. Now, the Beaver Dam Mountains are a 23-mile mountain range located in the mostly in the extreme southwest of Washington County, Utah, west of St. George, with the south of the range extending to the Arizona Strip. Now, the range contains the Beaver Dam Mountains wilderness that straddles the state's borders, and in the south of the range that can be expressively seen from I-15 in the traverses of the corridor through the Virgin River's Gorge as the Virgin River west of the Colorado Plateau. Now, let's talk about description real quick, and I promise eventually we will get into the Voodoo Caves. But the range contains two sections. You have the Northern Massif, which is anchored by a high point of the West Mountain Peak, and then you have the Eastern Massif, which contains Chivas, Utah, in the center of the section as well. Now, the part you've been waiting for, the Voodoo Caves. Who doesn't love the Voodoo Caves? And let me do my millennial pause real quick to take something to drink. Now, a strange tale about a pipe located somewhere in the Beaver Dam Mountains warns you not to enter. Now, the pipe was dubbed Voodoo Cave since this rumored black artist practitioners cast numerous spells and performed rituals inside the pipe. Now, these rituals and spells anchored an evil presence inside the pipe, and the evil will raise any prey that enters its domain. Now, Beaver Dam is an unincorporated community of the northeastern edge of the Box Elder County, Utah. Now, Beaver Dam was settled in 1867 by people of nearby communities from Providence and Deweyville, and the numerous dams along Willow Creek. Now, in 1868, the first co-op dairy in Utah was established there, and the Beaver Dam Mountains were about 23 mountain range and is mostly extreme in the southwest Washington County. Now, the range comes from the Beaver Dam Mountains, which straddles the state's borders in these states in the southwest. Now, while the Voodoo Caves does not appear in official Utah tourism or geological records, it is likely refers to a mammoth cave lava tubes in the Dixie National Forest, and some hikers and bloggers are unofficial and sometimes colorful and natural features were named the Voodoo Caves may be one of them. Now, here's what you need to know. The caves are situated in the Markinon Plateau of the Dixie National Forest, southwest Utah. It features the largest lava tubes in Utah with over 2,200 feet of passages and was formed in cooling lava less than 2,000 years ago, and the cave complex contains four chambers. Now, the cave is open year round in its portions too. Now, you can explore the caves, but you have to bring a flashlight. You have to be prepared to crawl. It has the largest tunnels on narrow, small exits. As well. Now, that is it for this episode. Join me next time as we talk about Crybaby Bridge. I did something similar to this a while back, but I think it's fun to revisit.